Welcome into another edition of the Holt Naylor Show. On the other side of the break, Concord's all-time leading passer, Chris Reynolds, joins the show. Hope you enjoy it. If not, as always,
Holt Naylor turns, and Holt will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holt Naylor's to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
you want to talk about someone who's gritty, who earned his way, and who's a star in UNC Charlotte. The fans love him. Welcome in, Chris Reynolds.
Boys, I'm excited to be here and chop it up and chirp it up.
Let's go. So first of all, obviously Big Pogey is y'all's head coach now. What do you think about him? He's a big guy. We're big fans of Big Pogey over here. So just tell us your thoughts on him.
I never got to play for Biff. But I've been in the building, obviously, a decent amount of times. I've shook his hand a few times. Great guy. Obviously, he does things a little bit more unorthodox and obviously the college trailblazers, how they did it. But it seems like the players like him a lot. It seems like he brings some energy to the program. If we can turn this ship around, I'm excited to see what we can do. It's back after the season, so we'll see. I do like, he brings with the energy with the cutoff shirt. I like to see the coach comm hanging off the front. It does things differently, but he brings the energy.
I do respect him. One thing I will say, if you shook his hand, I know that thing's sweaty. Caden, what do you have?
Is it UNC Charlotte or is it just Charlotte? I think everyone's confused.
Concord.
I know, but what they call themselves? What's the name?
We don't want to spread it out too long. We just want to be Charlotte. We don't want to be like Eastern Carolina University.
Yeah.
It's a lot of syllables. That's a lot. That's a mouthful, right? Just go. We're Charlotte. You know what I mean? I guess you guys would be like what? Like Greenville? Like Greenville. Yeah.
Respect. So for the people who don't know, me and Chris are actually close. So we were roommates in the Manning Passing Academy. So it was me, Chris. It was like a dorm room, Chris. And we can talk about it a little. We can dive into it. But it was me, Chris, Will Levis, and Devin Leary, the quarterback that's with the Ravens now. He was the NC State quarterback, went on to Kentucky. So good times, man. It was good times.
Man, you want to talk about camaraderie. So I was at a UFL workout this past weekend. I saw Liam Thompson.
Yeah.
I saw Phil. Phil was from running a little tight end this week.
Tight end?
He made the transition. Yeah, man. He made the transition.
ECU fans don't love him. That was when Boston College backed out in the bowl game. So Phil how do you say his last name?
Jerkovic. I think
Jerkovic. So he was projected first rounder going into the Manning Passing Academy. I remember me and you talking about it, Chris. Yeah. And then he kind of just fell off a little bit. So that was good. I'm sure. So did he look good at tight end?
Dude, he was catching it, man. He looked good. He looked crispy. He looked like he didn't look like he was out of place or anything.
Let's go, man. So yeah, we were roommates. Obviously, Will Levis is starting right now for the Titans, and then Anthony Richardson was there. There was a lot of big names there, Chris.
Yeah, man. We had Bryce, Stetson, Cam Rising, obviously Anthony, Will, Aiden O'Connell. We had a squad, man.
Yeah, I forgot. That was Cam Rising's fourth redshirt freshman year when we went. Okay,
you got any good Holton roommate stories? I was Holton's roommate throughout college. You guys do anything crazy at the Manning Academy?
He beat me in an ice.
I did. We had a chugging contest, dude. I have a video of it too. I wanted to tweet it, but I was like, I don't know. I should have had it ready for the pod to put on. We might just have to tweet it.
Yeah, you might.
Man, you want to talk about getting shamed? The whole bar was like, boo, boo.
Dude, it's because at the Manning Passing Academy, the Mannings literally Peyton, Eli, and Cooper rent out the whole bar, and if you don't want people to come in, they don't come in, and it's just all the top quarterbacks, and then Willie Snead was there. Freaking Cooper throws down though. Arch Manning's dad. I had videos, Chris, of me and you leaving the bar that night, and he was like, "Boys, why are we leaving?" And you were taking a pee in the corner.
I'll tell you what, if there was a group of three people to have your final beer with, right, in a room, Cooper Man has got to be on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. He's hilarious.
He's a great time.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about your journey a little bit. You were walk-on, and then you went on to Charlotte and kind of, blazed paths there and, are a legend there in that of some sorts. How hard was it to come in as a walk-on? Caden's a former walk-on, to go in there and then earn the starting job and then be the all-time leading passer in every category, man. Just talk about your journey a little bit.
Well, Caden, you know how it is, man. Once you when you're a walk-on, you have that kind of that label. You don't know how many opportunities are going to be presented to you. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if there was an opportunity, I had to make sure I took advantage of it. I think one of my biggest blessings was being able to run the scout team. I think if I didn't run the scout team, my chances would have dropped drastically because that was like the first time I was able to showcase my skills. Going to in training camp, I didn't get a rep, dude. I didn't get to throw ROAs. I didn't get to do anything. I would warm up in the beginning. We do this thing called noose drill, where it's kind of like just tight turn around a bag. You throw it to a receiver, and I throw literally 3 balls to the receivers on that, and then I was done for the day in camp, literally. So I was like, okay, when can I do scout team? Scout team worked out. I won like the scout team MVP. Then from there, I won the spring ball. I was like 5th on the depth chart. And then with the limited reps, I just made sure I cashed in and did what I was coached to do. And then I found myself competing for the spot in training camp, and then the rest was history. I think the moral of the story, though, was, man, like as a walk-on, just if you got an opportunity, especially in live ball, scrimmage, scout team, show that you can play, then they'll trust you a little bit more. But it was a cool story. I think you can relate to this whole, it's that whenever you go through this journey and you've played as long as like we did, it's so cool playing at a high level and playing obviously in front of your home fans and all that nature, opposed to people you met along the way, like being able to do this now in 2024, whenever we got there in 2007, 2018. I mean, that's what makes it special, because the ability of relationships to keep going way past ball.
Oh, 100%. Good.
I relate 100% with my first year coming in as a walk-on. I had exactly what you said. Throw the ball 3 times, you're done. I got to warm up Gardner Minshew in camp that year. That was pretty fun.
Fanboying right now?
I had to fanboy a little bit. That was the only cool thing about camp before, scout team. And you're right, scout team, you take your chances. The chances you get, take advantage of them. Scotty Moe, I had a really good chance there.
Yeah.
But no, I really 100%. It's tough.
It's
tough as a walk-on.
Do you have any cool Gardner Minshew stories? He seems like one of the coolest guys in the world.
Olin might have a couple of cool ones too.
I remember. I have like a behind the scenes with me and him. So like I was like at the time I was like the bigger time recruit coming in. I'll tell mine.
I got a good one.
And then like, so I had a spring with him. Not even a spring. Like I had like the months leading up to spring practice with him because I graduated high school early. And he was like the guy, but he really wasn't that successful at ECU. So like the staff was very vocal. Like if I came in and I would at least compete somewhat for the job. But he was always super cool to me. And then like never really mentioned. And then he entered the portal and it came out that he was like committing to Alabama because he just to be a backup because he wanted to be closer to home because he had family issues or something. Mm-hmm. So I texted him and I was like, praying for you, man. I don't know, what's going on. And then he calls me like crying. He's like, this is your program now, man. Like, you got this, and then hung up. And I was like, dang, like, I wonder what's really going on with this family. Then like a week later, he commits to Washington State, and it came out that he had no family issues at all. I was like, what the heck? What's going on there? But I know a lot of people, and Caden, you probably have more like up close and personal. Like I had a couple beers with him, but nothing like I didn't have enough time with him. You had a whole season with him.
Yeah, that was a good Gardner story. I remember, though, the coolest thing Gardner ever did with me, we were in the dining hall. Might have been in a camp. It was one of those camps right after that spring ball when we thought he was coming back for that other year.
I know what you're talking about.
And he's looking right across from me, and he's like, dude, you're a walk-on. I was a walk-on. What's your purpose? What do you want to do here? And I was like, holy cow. He's like, because you're a walk-on, do you want to actually get a degree at East Carolina, or do you want to play somewhere else? And I was like, he's like, find your purpose or get out. And I was like, oh my God, it hit me pretty quick, but it did. I wanted to play as much as I could, which never really happened. I played 3 games, but what I loved and I found my purpose was being a signal caller.
Yeah.
And, me and Holden just drawing boards, teaching other players plays. I know people are like, dude, you just wanted to be on the team. Like, no, I loved it. Like, I knew I would probably never start, but I loved East Carolina. I never wanted to transfer out. So, Gardner, I guess I found my purpose.
Let's go. You remember that same thing at Todd Dining Hall? Because I got recruited by Alabama, and he was like, I remember him asking, well, how was Nick Saban? And then the week later,
yeah, I do remember that one.
He committed to Nick Saban in the portal. I was like, he knew something there. Like, he definitely had a plan there. All right, Chris, big game this week for UNC Concord. What are you projecting? Like, how are you feeling about playing ECU going into town? Look, it's pretty much going to be like a away game for Concord. So, how are you feeling going into it?
Fantastic. That's good stuff. After coming into y'all's place last year and capturing a victory, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's big time. Hopping into the American. You think that the established American program can figure out a way to beat the Niners, right? But you'll get a shot. You come back. You're coming to the Rich. It's gonna be packed out. We're gonna pack it out. It's gonna be a great time.
The Pirate fans really will pack it out. I'm excited.
It's gonna be good, man. I'm telling you, the tailgate's gonna be electric. I'm excited to see you there. Right? You're popping
No,
over or
no,
not?
no. I got the fifth quarter call-in show, so I gotta
Right,
catch
man.
fans calling in excited about the victory after the game, so I won't be able to
All right.
make it.
All right. I'll take care of the business over there for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's gonna be fun. I think that it's gonna be a great environment. One, I think the boys are gonna be ready after a big win. We needed that one to start off the American. Obviously, it's not how we imagined it. You thought it'd be a little bit more crisp, but I think they're gonna dial it in this week. I think that the environment itself is gonna the boys to focus up a little bit more, lock in a little bit more, play a little better situational football, and we'll let it shake and see what happens.
So give us a prediction. You were talking on that junk on Twitter. Let's hear your
Come
prediction.
on now. Oh, Niners victory. I mean, I'm not gonna give you points because we play more possession football over there, so we're looking for the win. We're gonna get
This
the win.
has to be. He's just all pride. There's no way he believes that.
I think
We're locked
they
in.
beat.
Look at him. Look at that smile. There's no way he believes that.
Come on now. We won last year. What's the difference this year?
I will say that is Chris, I think y'all's fans think I'm serious when I joke at you on Twitter because you joke back, but there's a couple Charlotte fans that always DM me no matter when ECU loses, and they're like, "You're never gonna be us," and talk junk, and I'm like, "Dude, me and Chris are boys. I'm actually kidding about all of this."
We're prideful, man. We're a baby program. We started off. We're still kind of in our toddler stage. We had about 13 years. We've grown really fast, and now this is just like your kid. This is our kid,
I
right?
love it. I love the passion.
Yeah, you're dang right.
So who are some players for Charlotte for ECU fans who don't know them too well? Who are some players that we should look for to be impact players on Saturday?
There's a few of them, man. So cool story. One of their receivers, his name is Sean Brown. He was always at the Boone workouts in Weddington.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching the Boone workout, means he works for Quarterback Country, and that's who me and Holton would train together for the NFL draft prep. But Sean Brown was one of the receivers who would come out there in the off seasons. He was at UNC Pembroke, and he was in the portal, didn't have a home, he didn't like it out there in Pembroke. And then he was throwing with us. I was like, hey man, or Boone was like, take a look at this guy. Then sure enough, after the workout, all right, this guy can play. He's about a 6'4" dude, long, can catch the ball in the back line of the end zone, can go up and get it. Great ball skills. I said, all right, let's get this guy a walk-on spot. And sure enough, he's just balling out now. He's cooking. He's number 8. He's a stud man, a great person. He's a great player. Omega Blake's another receiver we got from South Carolina. He's a stud. Offensively, we've got a good running back room. A guy that I'm partial to is Henry Rutledge and Son Wilson, but Henry Rutledge is our specialist guy, a little punt returner, kick returner. But he's one of the third down backs for us. Anytime the ball's in his hand, he goes crazy. I loved playing with him back in 21 and 22. He made a bunch of plays for us. Defensively, Prince Bima, great middle linebacker. We have a good defensive front with Stone Handy. We got some players, man. We just got to put it together.
So I usually prep for game weeks, watching a couple of the games from the past weeks, but UNC Charlotte's games were so boring that I just couldn't watch past the first 10 minutes of the game. I got to ask, Chris, what's going on with the quarterback situation there? I know Max Brown got hurt. He brought in Trexler, and then Deshaun Purdy, if I pronounce
kind of a baller.
He's kind of a baller, but what's going on from your perspective?
Yeah, man. So Max got hurt, obviously, and he's a natural thrower of the football. He's got a baseball background. He played football and baseball for Florida. So we brought him in. Obviously, he's dealing with a hand injury. So we went with Purdy. He was one of our bigger recruits, tall dude, big arm, one of the biggest arms I've been around in person.
Wow.
Yeah, he can rip it, man. But he came in there against Gardner Webb. He had some freshman moments. I kind of expected a little bit of freshman moments, but obviously some of them were a little bit more drastic. So we went with Trexler. And Trexler came in, finished strong, went 3 drives, 3 touchdowns, was the hero in that game. Then kind of come back to the Rice game. Trexler struggled a little bit. And then Purdy came in and was the hero for that game. So they've been yinging and yanging. Obviously, Trexler brings more of a veteran presence because he's played a lot more football. Then Purdy's got some of that open your eye talent. So the yin and yang, I'm excited to see what Purdy grows into. But I think your Trexler will come in and he'll manage the game as well. So it's kind of pick your deal.
So the young kid, is he a true freshman? What type of recruit was he? Was he an NIL big get for you guys or?
Well, I think he's from Baltimore, and I think that Biff, he's got a lot of Baltimore ties. He had a bunch of he had some bigger offers. I think he could have gone to Maryland, maybe another ACC school
Wow.
up there. But he chose Charlotte. I think he liked the community. I think he liked the school because the campus guys. I don't know if you guys have been there. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful community, beautiful fan base. You really should just lock in a little more and come on out and check us out.
Dude, I actually would love to. So I went to the basketball game, and I actually genuinely was impressed. For the fans who didn't know, me and you made a bet, and I had to wear a shirt with a scoreboard. Let's do that again this game, eh? This podcast is brought to you by Anson Belts. Over 10,000 combinations of micro-adjustable holeless belts. Look, they're a pirate company. They support Team Boneyard. Make sure you go check them out at AnsonBelts.com. Caden, what's your favorite thing about Anson Belt?
Love the micro-adjustable waist. In the wintertime, we get a little bit more pudgier. In the summertime, you're leaner, so you can loosen, tighten. And we're hitting loosening season.
No, we're not, Caden, because we're going to be eating Clean Eats. Our next sponsor. Shout out to Clean Eats. Look, they got a ton of meals. Most of them are under $8. They got frozen meals, pre-made meals, shakes, made-to-order meals. You can meal prep with them. What's your favorite thing about Clean Eats?
I love the affordableness of the meals, the quality of the meals, and how simple it is once you eat a good quality meal just to throw the trash away and not do dishes.
Look, on this podcast, we're mind, body, and soul. And to do that, you need to go to Kairos Float and Wellness Studio. Caden said last week we were going to be floating together. Me and Caden will not be floating together, but go to kairosfloats.com. Look, they got float tank, cold plunge, sauna, salt halo therapy. Caden, what do you like about them?
It's the full recharge your body place in Greenville.
Let's go. Go check them out at kairosfloats.com. Appreciate you for supporting the pod.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. But yeah, I was really impressed with the facilities. Actually, it's very new. It's got a good feel to it, a clean feel to it. So hats off to you guys. I actually am like genuinely pulling for Charlotte. Other than when we play them, I just like chirping at them because I know you now, Chris, and like that's my only connection with Charlotte. Other than Panda, Big Panda, he's now a Pirate, Chris.
Yeah, I do know he's a pirate now.
He's a pirate,
Panda. Panda.
He wanted to come home. And he finally came. He just didn't do it when I was playing. I guess he wanted to block for you and then not for me. So come on, Panda. Okay,
people don't know. I have some ECU ties as well. My sister played soccer at ECU. So
really?
Oh yeah, we've got some pirate blood, man.
Let's go. So you're kind of a pirate fan at heart.
Yeah, I mean I've got some pirate love. Don't get me wrong. I got family ties.
All right, let's go, Caden. What do you got?
Chris, I think Pirate Nation and probably 49er Nation's
College Football Nation
as well. What's going on with the defense coordinator calling people out?
Obviously, boys, it's not a great look. It's not what you want to pop on Twitter and see. Obviously, the fan base is passionate.
As the Twitter question pops up while you talk.
Oh, there it is. Fantastic. It's one of those things where somebody tweets a play that a defensive play that we don't like, and I don't know if you guys saw the play. It was kind of like what the 49ers did, San Fran did about, I think it was a year ago. They kind of showed tunnel screen to the boundary, swing screen to the field, then the tight end splits down the middle of the field. First of all, that's a hard-ass play to deal with, man, from any defensive standpoint. Obviously, we missed a few tackles at the end, and it just didn't look good on the screen, and we had some retaliation. Obviously, coach didn't like what he saw from the fans there. It's one of those things, there's passion from both sides. The defense coordinator obviously wants better from his guys. The fan base wants better. Clashing heads. He put out an apology later. Obviously, like I said, it's not what you want to see. But it seems like the fire's burned out a little bit, and now we can just put our eyes forward.
That was random.
I don't know if the fire's burned out. It seems like a half-ass apology.
Let's just say I'm hoping the fire goes out here soon.
Dude, I saw it, and then I saw he was like tweeting, like giving fans free tickets to the game, and I was like, bro, come on, just eat it now. Like, don't try any harder.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So, Chris, your brother is on Charlotte's team. Am I right on that?
Yeah, he's a slot receiver.
Bro, why didn't you give him a shout out? We're sitting here asking the players to look out for you. And I'm like, yeah, my brother's a slot receiver as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jack, that's the man right there. He walked on back in 2021. He got a little bit of burn in 2021. He got a little bit more in 2022 because we were more 11 and 10 personnel. They're heavy 12 now. So it's hard for me to get out there as much. Like when I threw for my 10,000 yard, it was to him.
Oh, that's cool.
We were scripting, me and my OC, Mark Carney, were scripting up plays to feed him the rock to get the 10,000. So the funny story is that the first play of the game, we went like empty, bunch to the field, 2 receivers set to the boundary. We were hoping we'd get numbers to the field for just a quick bubble, right? Turn around, smoke screen, get 3 yards. That's all we needed. We were at like 9.997. We needed 3 more. -2 yards on the catch. So we're like, all right, asshole. So now we had to go to like a jet motion across the field to spray the spacing. And finally, we got it to him for a 6-yard gain. And he caught the ball, ran to the sideline, took the ball with him. He was, I'm keeping this. I'm keeping this.
I love it,
But,
man. That's awesome.
yeah.
Playing with your brother must have been sweet, though. So when you look at this Charlotte program, just overall, we're going to have some Charlotte fans tune in this year. Big name, probably the biggest name from UNC Charlotte. Like, what do you want to see in vision-wise of, like, them joining the American was a big first step? Like, what do you want to see them long-term with Charlotte?
I think it's one of those things, man. You look back, we were FCS back in 2012, 2013. Then we jumped to CUSA in 2015, I want to say. So we've been jumping quick. So obviously then we go right to American. We haven't been able to really get our feet grounded and look for like a real dominant season and carry from one season to another. I think for us, first things first is have another successful winning season like we did a few years back and keep creating milestones. Like, for example, for your first FCS win, to your first FBS win, to your first winning season, to your first bowl game, to our first Power 5 win. Like, we caught those milestones. So now can we keep finding more milestones and take it to the next level and then finding consistency in that? So I would say, can we win in this conference? And then can we do it consistently? And then obviously win your bowl games and get more like people looking at Charlotte and say, all right, that's a winning program and I want to be there all the time. Instead of saying I want to keep growing with Charlotte, get to the point where it's like, I want to be at Charlotte because they are a dominant program, No,
100%, man. And like I said, when I went to their campus, I was very impressed with the facility. So I'd imagine when y'all get recruits on campus, like you guys are getting these recruits or at least have a shot with them just from that aspect. And like, I remember when I was getting recruited, now ECU's had the history. I mean, a lot of big name guys have came through here. A lot of, big teams have came through. But when I was getting recruited, they weren't winning. So like, I kind of was like getting recruited as like, all right, come and build this thing with us of where it should be and not where we're at now. So I kind of get the feeling of like the same thing you're talking about there is like you eventually want to get to that point.
I think it's one of those things. So like you said, like you go onto the campus, it's such a welcoming feeling. The fan base is so passionate. They love all the recruits. They love all their players with the deep passion. We've put guys in the league in our short time there. You got the Alex Highsmiths, the Grant Duboses, the Larry Ogunjobis, the Nate Davises, guys that have played good football in the league and saying, hey, like you can come here, you can go play in the NFL still. So we're not just some slot big program. Like we can produce, we can develop, and we can win games. We just need your help to keep growing it. And then like I said, you want to get to the point where it's like, I want to go win with Charlotte, instead of just grow with Charlotte.
Let's go. So, well, good luck this Saturday, man.
You too, man. Just let me know your ideas. I know we talked, a little jersey swap possibility for whoever who's the winner. If you have any more ideas, you throw them at me. I'm excited to hear them.
I will. Well, good luck to you guys, rest of you. I'm pulling for the 49ers otherwise, man. I actually do. I love you, Chris. Obviously, we're boys. And then the fans. I enjoy fans that chirp back a little bit, and the 49er fans chirp back a little bit. So I'm a fan.
What's the point of having fans if you're not going to chirp? You know what I mean? This is why we do it.
Exactly. So enjoy the game. I'll be tweeting back and forth with you, and then I'll send the shirt once we win, man. So good luck rest of the year.
I'll start talking to my guy. We'll get something figured out.
Yeah. And then hopefully you get to join the UFL with me, dude. That'd be sweet.
I know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Let's go.
Hopefully. It'll be fun.
Hey, good seeing you, brother, man. Appreciate you for joining.
Right,
I appreciate our friendship. And for the fans, we were not being mean. We that's how we talk. So
Yes, sir. We're the boys. Love you, dude.
Love you too, man. See ya. This podcast is brought to you by Worth Chiropractic, 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. Back and neck pain, if you're an athlete or just an everyday, kind of like me and Caden are now. Look, we're just older guys just going throughout life. Make sure you call 1-800-BACK-DOC today. Look, they'll get you back to being you, Caden. What do you think?
If it's even the stress of watching the Pirates offense this year, pulling a muscle in your back, they'll get you right.
Make sure you go check them out. Next, 1-800-INJURED, Wayne Hardy Law, personal injury lawyer. If you've been in a car accident, make sure you call 1-800-LAW. They'll treat you like family. That's the Wayne Hardy difference. Last but not least, Mattamuskeet Goose Club. Look, they got college, classy, country, everything in between. Make sure you go check them out as well. Okay, one interview. He's one of my best friends in the world. We text all the time. Like, the people probably think we were a little mean, but that's just how me and Chris talk. We chirp at each other. So it was fun.
Thought I was one of your best friends.
I said one of my best friends. What the heck?
That's, man, just giving best friend card out to everyone. No, I'm messing. Chris was a great guy. He's funny. One thing, though, there was no way. If you watch the video on YouTube, you can see Chris was not serious when he thought the UNC Charlotte was going to win this year. He could not keep a straight face. I know he did not mean that.
but he did get me in basketball season. So I understand because I made him the bet. And for the people out there, there's a picture of me wearing a UNC Charlotte shirt that he's posted because I bet him because it was my heart, just like he is now with basketball. I knew we were going to lose. Charlotte has a good basketball team.
I think if we beat him, which I feel very confident that we will, I think he has to go to the next Charlotte game, not even against ECU, and ECU gear, paint,
that is a
and
good
everything.
One. Not paint.
Nah, put the paint on. They did you dirty last time.
That means I would have to agree to that, and I'm not agreeing
Come
to
on,
that at all.
you should feel confident this week.
Yeah, I'm not doing paint. I wear a shirt, bro. I'm not doing paint. He's going to watch this and be like, you're doing paint. How do you feel about the game? Let's talk about it a little bit. Like, obviously, the quarterback play. It was cool to hear him talk about the quarterback. He's in the program. A lot of people, like, Chris is like to Charlotte, like I am to ECU. Like, he holds a lot of records. He was there for a long time. He means a lot to the fan base. I'm not, like, hyping myself up. Just that's how, like, when I see his fans, the interaction with me and our fans is how he interacts with their fans. So, I mean, he knows a lot about it.
No, I see a lot of the same between you and Chris Reynolds, especially recently. I loved watching Chris Reynolds. When we were coming
he's
up.
Also short, man. People don't realize like he's
kings.
under 6 foot tall.
5'9", right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the game this week, I'm actually feeling really confident about. Last year when we played anyone, I was like, oh God, we're probably gonna lose that game. Just because quarterback play, and I know everyone's like quarterback play is still a question mark. But this year, at least we know when we hit our streak, we're gonna get streaky. Charlotte's defense is bad. They are so bad. They are atrocious. 120th in the nation. They've given up 21 touchdowns this year. And to put that in perspective, ECU's defense is getting up 11.
God.
So they've given up double amount of touchdowns we have. So I think if we can just hit the streakiness, I'm not even calling for a perfect game. I think if Garcia just comes out and plays like he did last week, which, like we said, if he throws 2, we win a game, interceptions, I think we are going to score a lot on them. I know that Old Dominion game, we felt like we should have scored a lot. Norfolk State, we felt like we should have scored a lot. This week, it's a bad defense. It's a bad defense. Their offense has some bright spots with Deshaun Purdy. Me and him have the same quarterback coach coming up. He's fun to watch. But if he hits his freshman streaks and they bring out Trexler, I know he's probably close to Trexler, but that's a bad defense. So
one thing that I have noticed, and you're talking about the defense, Garcia has looked better the last 2 games. I think everyone would agree on that. Now, he's very, very streaky. He's good when he's good, and he's bad when he's bad. What's helping him slow down a little bit, though, now I do the film study that we post on Twitter and on YouTube and all that. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I break down the film, literally say what the routes are, what the quarterback's read are, what the defense is. Go check that out at Whole Ayler Show. But I've been watching the last 2 games when he started to kind of look more comfortable. They've kept more 7-man protection. They're keeping the running back in. They're keeping the tight end in. They're sending 3 receivers on routes. Now, these receivers have option routes, but they have to have option routes if you only have 3 receivers instead of 4 or 5. And that's making it so Garcia can go to the line of scrimmage, read the defense, not worry about Mike IDs, because Caden, I've talked to you about, I've talked on the film study and on this podcast, he was missing IDs earlier in the season, and it was probably getting in his head a little bit. Now, if you keep 7-man in, he can get a line of scrimmage and say, I don't got to worry about getting hit. I don't got to worry about protection. Let me read the defense out and let me make the right throw.
Yeah, and for just to refresh a lot of people who don't understand what a Mike ID is, a lot of what the quarterback's doing when he's going up to the line, not only reading the coverage, talking, make sure the play is right, he has to make sure the O-line's blocking scheme is correct. So if you see a guy coming off the end, you got to tell that line to shift, or that's a hot guy and you got to get it out as soon as possible. And for a quarterback, that is hard to do. Like, that's probably one of the hardest things from a good quarterback to a great quarterback is making sure you can protect yourself. Because it's hard. It's one of the hardest things. It's one thing I think I would say 90-85% of quarterbacks really struggle with.
Especially college quarterbacks.
Is can you protect yourself? And great call out. Like, they are protecting him finally. Maybe that's an area of his game which a lot of quarterbacks struggle with is calling their protection. But what I really loved last week, and maybe John David Baker listened, is they slowed
the deep ball.
I was getting there. They slowed down a little bit. They were still going fast, but I was watching the shot clock. It was going down to 15 seconds. He was making sure he got enough time to at least tell him what he wanted to tell him in this 15 seconds, and they're getting those timeout.
Well, look, we talked about it too. It's like, if we're the fastest team in the country but not scoring points, who cares? So let's just slow it down and score more points. And what I was just thought you were about to say is we took more shots. We threw the ball down the field. Not nearly as much as we should, as much as me and you want to. we were watching it together, and I just broke down the film. This releasing before this releases. They played man coverage on the outside like the whole day, and our receivers are good. Like, we were burning them. We only took a couple go ball shots. We gotta push the ball down the field because look, DBs. I remember when I was in Seattle, Shane Waldron, who's now the OC of the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams. His biggest thing was, this is NFL DBs he's talking about. He says if it's one-on-one, throw it up, give him a chance, because he's either going to catch it or it's going to be pass interference like 80% of the time. And that's with NFL DBs, guys that are the best athletes with the best hands out of the college guys. So imagine the college guys who can't catch nothing other than Jake Garcia's passes when he throws. No, that's terrible. But I mean, the point of it is like, if it's one-on-one coverage, you got to give him a shot. Give these receivers a shot. Like, we are very, very talented, and we're winning these balls. The thing that we keep talking about that is pretty glaring is we're underthrowing them, though.
Yeah, and the underthrows have been there, we talked about it, 5-6 straight weeks? I forget what week we're on. But when we saw the electricity last week, it was off those go balls. Like you said, when you're in man coverage on the outside, unless you're going against a DB like
Sauce Gardner,
Ravel, like, take those shots, because what happened last week were flags or we won the play. And you might throw an incomplete ball, but that's going to happen. We got juice. The stadium felt that momentum, and the players felt that momentum. I mean, 15 yards each pass interference, take that. That's positive yards. I think we need to take one every 4 plays. I know you want every 3 plays. If they're in man.
They're in man, every 3. If they're otherwise 4 plays, that's how I would call an offense. Is every 4 plays you got to have a shot if you want to be explosive on offense.
But one thing I'm telling these receivers, as I'm the receiving coach, is look, Garcia's an underthrow of the ball. And you might have, no, I'm being serious here. You might have your man beat. Make sure you turn around and go into that DB so you get that flag.
Pass interference.
If you show you're going for it, like, don't go to the ball, play the DB and the ball so you can make sure you get those positive yards regardless. That's one thing you got to remind the receivers.
100%. So we have Twitter questions ready. We're going to go over those, and then we have a really cool other segment that we're going to show. So what Twitter questions, we're going to throw them on the screen right now. And let's go with the first one. The first one is from Joe Leggett. He says, after seeing the 25th, Caden's already going to start frying on me for not being able to read this monitor from far away. After seeing the 25th anniversary team from 1999, Holton, what do you think of your 25-year celebration in the future? I hope I have one. I mean, are they going to show the Birmingham Bowl team?
What team? I know the teams I was on, we're not having any.
You were done in 2020. They're not going to show the Military Bowl. We didn't play it. I mean, maybe the Birmingham Bowl team. I don't think we're definitely not as legendary as that, but that would be cool. I mean, anytime you get celebrated at all as a future team and it was cool to see Steve Logan and see the guys together again. Because when you leave the locker room, that final game is so heartbreaking of just being dang, I'm going to see these guys maybe sparingly throughout at weddings and stuff, but I'll never be able to be with the boys again. Yeah. So it would be cool it was cool to see that.
Coolest part of that whole weekend I saw on X was the players seeing their college pictures.
Yeah, that was cool too.
That was pretty cool. It brought the emotions out, people frying on each other again. You saw the looking back what you used to look like, but also guys hitting that camaraderie of frying each other at the same time. So I like that part.
We'll get David Garrard on soon. All right, next question. Thanks, Joe, for the question. Bot says, who was your favorite all-star coach? That's Brandon Bot. Brandon Bot, I got to answer Brandon Bot now. You're the one who tweeted the question. Next question. Shout out to the 13-year-old Greenville All-Star team. I had 3 concussions somehow playing baseball that year. Mike says, seems QB doesn't have ability to get us out of bad plays at line of scrimmage, coaching decision, or lack of trust. This offense, we've talked about a little bit. This offense doesn't do a lot of audibling at the line of scrimmage, whereas Donnie needed a quarterback that could change the play at the line of scrimmage. Donnie had a really, really, really good offense if he had a quarterback who could get him in the right play. You would go to the line of scrimmage with 3 plays, read the defense, pick the play.
And
this offense,
Holton would audible every time, and Donnie'd be in the headset. Are you kidding me? He audible
that ball deep, boy. But this offense is more option based. There's not that many checks at the line of scrimmage. Now, I wish we would utilize that more, Caden. We talked about that, with the helmet, they can talk to him until there's 15 seconds left in the shot clock. I wish we would utilize that more. Maybe the slowing of the pace will do that, but as of right now, it's just not the off. It's more scheme than coaching or players. Next question. Thanks, Mike, for the question. Stacy Smith says, is game is game management something that is practice? Is that on the coaches? Seems like the management and situational awareness is lacking with this staff. This isn't a new issue with this year. At least by your senior year, you just took control at times. Coach Houston probably teaches game management on the quarterback more than anyone. At least with me, I don't know if he does with Garcia. Me and Coach Houston were always communicating game management. By the end of what you're talking about, like at times I took control my senior year, that's because I knew what he was thinking. I knew what Donnie was thinking. That comes with experience. But another thing with the helmet thing, it's like you don't even got to be on the same page because now Coach Houston can just tell you, literally.
But what I'm trying to think of like key game management issues this year. Old Dominion sticks out more than any. The field goal. Is there any other ones that stick out?
I mean, like even the out route versus UTSA fourth quarter, it's like he has to know not to throw that when the DB's sitting. But at the same time, I broke the film down earlier, and it's like let's not give him the option to throw that route. Let's not put that in the offense to throw that route. So like that's the only other one I can think of. But also, I mean, game management, you can either do one thing or there's like 100 different options. So I'm sure they have different.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of core ones. Those are two.
Yeah, the pick definitely is one that. Someone's got to be in the headset either not calling that play, which is what I would recommend. Never trust a 20-year-old to listen to you. If you're making millions of dollars, why don't you make that decision? That's what I'm saying. All right, thanks, Stacy, for the question. Next question we have is from Dennis Barber. It says, there have been a lot of comments about Garcia not having a lot of touch when throwing the ball. With his underthrown on several deep balls versus UTSA, was he trying to put more touch on those passes? And that's the reason for being a little short. He does not put touch on balls other than deep balls. Like he zips on them. That's not like a huge issue unless you need to put touch on them, which a couple times a season, like intermediate, the way this offense is throwing. But the deep balls, something's wrong, Kate. I mean, it looks like he's not used to putting touch on the balls, so he's having trouble with it. Like as a quarterback, and Caden, you can talk about this too. Like that's just something. I wonder if they're doing pat and go like we did. Like we used to start practice with Donnie. Every single practice, we would start by throwing fade balls. Like one day it'd be 20-yard fade balls. Next day it'd be 40-yard fade balls. That's all we did. So like if you watch my highlights, like it's a lot of throwing fade balls to Blake Prohl, to CJ Johnson.
And those fade balls would be, hey, lead them here, back shoulder here. Yeah. It was different types of fade balls or different types of go balls to say for like, so you practice each type and you feel comfortable with that throw. So
I wonder if they do that. I think that's something they should do. It doesn't seem like they do it, but
I don't think he has touch at all. By still riding with him, but I don't think he has any touch, short or deep. I think he's just slinging it
it comes out. He's a gunslinger, baby. Thanks, Dennis, for the question. Next question we have is from Chris Flowers. Would a loss against UNCC be a fireable offense for Mike Houston? I know one game doesn't necessarily make or break a season, but this game feels like an absolute must-win, especially given our struggles against other in-state FBS teams. Look, I know his seat is a lot warmer than it was at the beginning of this year. Going 2-10 last year certainly doesn't help, but it's a new era. Okay, we've talked about this on the podcast a lot. NIL and transfer portal is a new era, and we got to start winning these games, and he knows that. I would say it's a pretty must-win. You can't go lose to UNC Charlotte. I mean, they are not. I love Chris to death.
Dumpster fire.
He's trying to build it, but I'm just saying, like, even Chris talked about it, like they're still like trying to like slowly build the program up. Like ECU has had huge teams, ECU has had big recruits, like ECU has history. We have the stadium, we have the fan base. Like we got to go win this game.
Yeah, I don't think he gets fired. There's no firing happen until the end of the season. Depending on how the season goes. Yeah. But the fan base is out. I'm probably checked out if we lose this game.
Yeah, it might be a fireable offense at the end of the year, but he's not going to get fired after this game no matter what happens. Unless we just go get beat by 90, which I still don't think he would. Next question. Thanks, Chris, for the support, man. James Pearsall says, I understand running the ball late in the fourth quarter to keep the clock running, but don't we have some type of counterplay, bootleg, or something not so predictable? That's something we've talked about. I wish the offense just doesn't. Bootlegs in this offense really don't exist because they're just quick pop runs that you're doing. It's like inside zone, outside zone. Bootlegs, you got to be running stretch zone one way, which gets the line. Stretch zone means like the widest, like really wide runs to the left or to the right, like whatever side. And then you fake that way, get the linebackers, everyone running, and then you boot the other way. This offense doesn't have that really with the scheme wise running. So it's hard to like run a bootleg with inside zone because the linebackers won't flow. So they would just go cover the bootleg or the quarterback.
Yeah, another thing is, which we called out a couple of times this year, is our weakest point of this offense is the offensive line. They're not as strong so the offense. They're really weak, question marks all across the board. And the thing we were playing last week was a very strong UTSA defensive line. That was their number one position group, was their defensive line. And then I've seen a lot of people ask, like, why don't we run outside? Why don't we run inside? It's just this offense line, why run anywhere? Like, if you can't gain a yard. But I will credit, JDB last week, is he ran the ball over 25, 30 times still.
Yeah, we averaged it like 3 yards.
But he did it to keep him honest.
No, I agree.
You got to keep the defense honest so they don't just play deep, deep the whole time. So he still, with the lack of success, still tried.
Stuck with it. Yeah. Thanks for the question, James. Keep supporting us and keep asking questions. We'll feature you on it. Logan says, with Conrad out at kicker versus UTSA and a great performance with Noah Perez, should Mike Houston consider making Perez the starting kicker the rest of the season if he performs well against UNCC? Conrad hasn't been the most consistent thus far. I mean, Perez is the guy until he goes out there and shows that he chokes in big situations. Like, look, I love Conrad. Conrad came in when we had Owen Daffer my senior year, and Owen was struggling. Conrad did a little bit better. Conrad's a great guy, but Perez went out there with some swagger and just freaking kicked it, and that's what ECU has lacked since Jake Verity has been here. I think he's the guy until he shows that he's not the guy. Look, Conrad's is talented, probably more talented than Perez, but Perez was yeeting that thing off his foot, Caden. We were watching it in the fifth, getting ready for the fifth quarter. We were watching the fourth quarter. He had like a 42-yarder and was like amped up, showed some emotion. So I think Perez is the guy until shown not.
I'll keep it simple. Noah Perez, starting kicker. Sign it, seal it, ship it.
All right, next question. Thanks for the question, Logan. We appreciate the support, brother. Can you get Philip Nelson or James Summers on the pod? If you guys want that, tweet at us again. We'll get them on the pod. 100% is the people show. Next question, I believe last question, by Hooligan. With conference realignment still happening, oh boy, the ECU fans are going to hate me for this one. Who out of the other G5 schools would we like to see added to the AAC? Would it actually be worthwhile to entertain the idea of joining the Sun Belt Conference? Other G5 schools to join the AAC, I would love the local Sun Belt teams to join the conference. I think that's the... Look, I've made a tweet, and I said, and I've been very vocal. Okay, now you've been vocal about it too. From former athletes' purposes, playing in the Sun Belt makes more sense. Less travel, more local games, better crowds. And I know people are saying, well, like, look at the stadium size of it. You want to go play at Temple in front of 500 people? I promise you the athletes don't.
Or Rice's 6 people.
I promise you the athletes don't. I was a starting quarterback for 5 years. I know what the athletes think, at least football-wise. But if you go play Coastal, that game would be packed. If you go play App, that game would be packed. ODU, ECU fans travel to.
ECU would travel to any of the local
Marshall,
Sunbelt schools.
ECU fans will travel to. Like, I just think in the Sunbelt question, like, I like it for the team's purposes. If we could bring those teams to the American, I don't know why the American's not doing that, to be honest with you. Like, it makes sense financial reasons why. And another question is, like, people have said, let's stay with the American. The TV deal is better. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, though, that TV deal was built. Yes, it is better. And college athletics is always going to chase the money. With NIL now, too, with the programs especially. But, like, that TV deal, that is, I think, $8.5 million a year per school. That TV deal was made with UCF, with Cincinnati,
Memphis.
With SMU. Memphis is still in it. Who else?
Well, they're talking about leaving.
Oh, yeah, Memphis is talking about, I mean, like, that deal was Houston. That deal was made with all those schools who are in the Big 12 now and bigger TV deal conferences. They went and found the big deals. So we either go get these Sunbelt schools, these local schools, and bring them to the American, or the Sunbelt, next time that TV deal comes around,
they're getting it.
Better watch out. Sunbelt might get the bump. I mean, I'm just telling you, that's from an athlete's perspective.
And think of it from a athletic department perspective. I don't care what people say last week. There was 35,000 people max, and that might piss some people off. I could care less. That's against UTSA, G5, last couple of years, power G5 school. You bring in Coastal, you bring in Old Dominion, I'll take Old Dominion off. JMU, Liberty, App, that's 45,000 people especially on good seasons. That means more money in the athletic department.
And look, I'm saying, and someone tweeted at me, it was like Old Dominion showed a picture of that. They showed a picture of like Scotty Moe playing, like the Scotty Moe era. I'm like, okay. And look, ODU might be the least one. I understand that. And you also got to realize we're not talking about just football. Basketball. Who's going to travel to a basketball game versus Rice? Please raise your hand if so. We're filming this ahead of time, so none of you can raise your hand, but none of you are going to a Rice basketball game, I promise you. And that's more what I'm talking about. It's like, look at the other sports too. It's like, do you want fans to travel as an athlete? It feels good when ECU fans are on the wayside. Now, ECU fans travel good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, though, like having a big crowd. Like, I loved playing at Navy because I knew going into that game, like, we were going to have a section that was like, okay, this is actually cool. Like, Navy was going to see that and be like, wow, they have real support. Even at ODU, we talked about it at the beginning of the year. Like, I played there. Caden, you played there. Looking in that top corner and it being purple and gold full, and you knew it was, that was cool. Marshall, same way. I played at Marshall, same way. That's all I'm saying. I know there's a lot of money involved. I say bring them on, but that was a long answer. I apologize about that. But
Passionate.
I'm passionate about it because I care about the athletes. I care about the fans. I want to go to away games as an ECU fan that are fun to go to. Would it be fun to go to a Rice football game, like be one of the 30 fans there? I mean, maybe you can do what you want to do, sit where you want to sit, but I'd rather go play at ODU at all those big schools. So, all right, done with the rant. We actually had a really cool guest today. So let me go to, I don't get his Twitter right. So James Fletcher. So we posted a thing saying whoever picks the score closest wins. This was the Liberty game. And James picks it correct. Absolutely. Now don't give James grief because he picked the Pirate to lose. So I understand. We did too. But James has it perfect, and he's sitting in. He sat in this whole time. James, just talk about your ECU fandom and then your experience so far here. What do you think about the studio and the boys?
So I love the studio. I love being able to hear you guys talk about ECU in general and football in particular. Never having played football myself, it's good to hear former athletes and current athletes, obviously, their input on just the way things run, the things that we take for granted as fans. So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you guys again for having me.
Of course, man.
Yeah. So you asked a little bit about what got me here. So I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, which is about an hour south of Atlanta, about 35 minutes away from Auburn, Alabama. I grew up in an Auburn household. My mom and dad both went to Auburn. Grew up going to Auburn games. My high school had the band had an Auburn, like a concession stand with boosters and stuff like that. So I grew up very much kind of in the buckle of the SEC belt. Then went to college. I went to college initially to study music, so I went to Indiana, who, by the way, did beat Charlotte.
Hey, let's go.
50 to something. Yeah. But I went to Indiana, and it's no secret there. I mean, although they are 5-0 right now under Kurt Signetti, Indiana is, football kind of takes a backseat to basketball there, no surprise. So, I went to games, but mostly I went to see who we were playing against. Like, I got to see Joe Pa at Penn State. And got to see Jim Tressel at Ohio State and people like that, playing against good coaches and stuff. But, I was never really a passionate IU football fan. And then medical school, I was too busy to do anything. So came here for residency in 2007. Have been here ever since. Been here longer than any place I've lived except for the town I grew up in. Met and married a girl here, so I'm kind of stuck. Yeah.
Let's go. Once you come to Greenville, you don't leave.
No,
man.
Absolutely. I mean, but I was going to say, I came to my first ECU game in 2008 and was just immediately hooked. Like, I felt like the crowd, the environment, the traditions and stuff were very much kind of in line with what I had grown up with, and was really surprised to see, how passionate the fan base was in a place that I, didn't really know a lot about growing up. I remember the Peach Bowl, of course, and that kind of thing. So really kind of took me aback. And then 2009, came a couple more games, saw them win the conference championship that year. 2010, bought season tickets and haven't done without them ever since. So so
I love it.
Have become a member of Pirate Nation. Very, very proudly. My wife's an ECU alum. I'm on faculty at ECU in medical school, so we're definitely an ECU household and proud to be so.
Let's go, man. Don't you just love Pirate Nation, man? Like stories like that, and like we're gonna continue these stories. Like we're gonna post things to get you guys on the show. Just follow at Holt Ayler's show on X because, like I said, James picked the correct score.
We got to ask what drove you to pick that score.
I knew that Liberty was going to kind of really, they were going to try to contain our passing game as much as they could, and I knew that Liberty had a pretty, like, I hate to say explosive, but kind of stuttery kind of offense. But like when they're good, they're really good. When you shut them down, you kind of shut them down. And I just didn't know that with kind of the rhythm that they ran versus the rhythm that we run, that we were going to kind of have the opportunity to catch up. But I mean, I kind of figured it was going to be close. I kind of figured it was going to, ultimately be a Liberty win, unfortunately. But I kind of spitballed, honestly, I'm not going to lie. Kind of spitballed the final score, but I knew it was going to be kind of, in that range, in the 60-point kind of total range, and, kind of just adjusted from there.
I love that. I also love hearing everyone's unique Pirate Nation story. Like I didn't grow up an ECU fan either. I came here, saw the passion. It's amazing, so I love that story.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Yeah, if you want to be featured just like James, make sure you follow at Holt Ayler Show on X. We will be posting, like I said, score predictions, the closest one each week. We'll be sitting in that chair right there and interviewing just a little 5-minute interview. So that's a new thing we're doing this season. We'll even do it in basketball season if you guys want to, baseball season. We want to be as interactive as possible. Like we said, this is the people show. Caden, predictions for UNC Charlotte before we head out.
UNC Charlotte this week, I'm feeling really confident, especially after a 4-0 betting week last week for myself. I just had to bring that up again for you, Holton.
Yeah.
I think we go out there and actually have a pretty big offensive explosion for once this year. I think we go 49-10.
49-10. I got 42-10. James, you're the guesser. You're the best guesser so far. What is your projection of this week?
So I would say, since Indiana beat them 50 to I think it was 21 or 20-20, I'm going to say probably I'm going to kind of split the difference between you guys. I'm going to say 49-21.
All right, we'll see if James is right. He might be sitting there again soon. If so, then we're going to start betting with James too. But make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow at Holt Ayler Show on X. We appreciate you guys' support. We'll see you next time.